turns off so many people, even on the right. He does. DeSantis
and I really
is much
think
more
people
palatable.
are very, very foolish to think that DeSantis is not going to run. And the other thing you also have to remember is that people really want Trump and DeSantis to run against each other in the Republican primary, because that would be a ratings bonanza. People would tune in for that like it was like Ali Frazier. Like,
and
that's how
they have fair primaries on that side.
They do. So that would really come down to what the voters want. That's what it would be. And maybe Trump would win the primary. And maybe Trump could become president again. Nothing was
I don't think so. I don't think so at this point. I don't. I just don't. I think that at the time when he was running in 2016, there was nobody running against him anywhere near like Ron DeSantis.
No, there wasn't.
There was a whole group of mealy, weeny, Ted Cruz-y kind of people that were so pitiful.
The other one you got to look out for now is also Carrie Lake out in Arizona. Watch out for her, because she's coming. Ain't going to be tomorrow, but 2028, 2032. Oh, Carrie Lake, she gets to the governor's mansion. You're looking at somebody who will definitely run for president.
I do not know enough about that race, about Arizona. No, I believe you about Arizona
and the fact
politics,
that Katie
but
Hobbs,
it is red there.
And the fact that Katie, it went to Biden in 2020.
Yes, the people there are.
Yeah, no,
it's
I get
a very,
yeah.
It's
well,
red.
Biden's
It's
very
a red
conservative.
place.
Like Bernie would not have won Arizona. That would not.
It's
happen.
very libertarian, but
Yes.
you know what's in? It's also basically the hub of all the legalized weed.
And
the industry's huge there.
And the other thing you have to remember about Carrie Lake is that her opponent, Katie Hobbs, refuses to debate her.
The Democrat refuses to debate?
Uh-huh. What, are you kidding me?
In a general?
In a general. First of all, whoever is telling Katie Hobbs that it's not good to debate your opponent, especially on the Democratic side, that is, I mean...
They're liking her.
And the other thing you also have to remember about Carrie Lake, and this doubly makes no sense, is that all of the polls say that Carrie Lake is going to beat her and may beat her badly. How in the hell do you avoid a debate at this point then? Your best shot is to debate her.
Because she knows that if you don't debate at that point, then it's because you know it would actually make it worse for you. Then it's over. It's like if you because obviously her or her team thinks that would be a bad move. So in other words, she doesn't feel competent to do so.
And listen, I give Fetterman credit. I would have not appreciated if he didn't debate Dr. Oz. He at least was willing to stand up there in spite of his physical limitations at the time being to say, this is where I stand. Now, granted, the first poll after the Fetterman-Oz debate showed Oz with a slight lead. And now another poll came out and Fetterman has like a 5-point lead.
I'm not believing the polls.
I still think Fetterman is going to win in Pennsylvania.
I hope so.
But we'll see. And part of the reason I think Fetterman's going to win is because he is not the typical Democratic candidate in Pennsylvania who's just popular in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
And he's not overwoke.
No, he's popular in Pennsylvania. He's popular in the red counties, regular Joe type people. If anything, if you were to look at the two candidates, you would think that it was the opposite.
Yeah.
Under what would be considered normal circumstances, Fetterman would be the GOP candidate and Oz would be the Democratic candidate. The roles have reversed themselves in a good way, I believe.
Well, I also think that when you're talking about places like rural Pennsylvania, it's red, but let's picture an Elks Club meeting in rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And Dr. Oz and John Fetterman both walk into the Elks Club. They're going to beat the crap out of Dr. Oz and throw him out the back door, and John Fetterman will hang out and have a beer with them.
TM, I definitely agree with you. That was the worst part of the debate.
I
think he's being dishonest. But then again, what they say about politicians, when is the politician lying?
When their lips are moving.
And if you look at the way that Fetterman answered that question, he basically just said, all right, what's the least harmful answer for me to give here? Because I can't tell them that I don't actually want to support fracking.
Well, but he has, when we're talking about those people in the middle of the state, that's their livelihood.
It is.
That's working class people. And those people tend to be more red, tend to be working class people, right? Well, those are his constituents in a chunk of his state. That's who he's responding to. So I always say this, His job is to represent his people. And his people in the state of Pennsylvania, a lot of them in that middle part of the state support that because that's their livelihood.
Emerald, the Democrats are in trouble for a long time. And this is everything coming home to roost after everyone this is the interesting thing about policy in the United States. There were a lot of policies that Reagan enacted when he was president that the American people didn't fully feel until a number of years later. Reagan's second term was a complete disaster. And so much of what he did, partially because he wasn't there, and the inmates
other
were running
people
the
were
asylum,
doing it,
making these decisions like cutting the top marginal tax rate from 50%, was already low enough to begin with. Nothing should have ever gone below 50% top marginal tax rate. But dropping it to 28% and then having the stock market crash in 1987, there were so many things that ultimately led to so many different economic problems. Then so much of what Clinton did, which was so terrible during his administration.
He was basically Reagan 2.0.
2.0. And the only reason why you didn't notice it as much during the Clinton years.
The saxophone.
Monica Lewinsky. Is because of the dot-com boom. People having websites, a whole new type of economic opportunity. But eventually you saw just how bad it was. And then, of course, under George W. Bush, the worst president of my lifetime. Yes, worse than Trump. You saw just how bad things could get economically, on top of starting 2 wars that Obama decided to take to 7. We are living in a not so good time.
TM, I'm completely against fracking too. I'm with you, friend. I'm with you. But you got to represent your people, and you've got to represent the industries that are in your constituency.
Did you know that Pennsylvania is the #1 fracking state in the country? That is sick beyond words, but that is
so, but what you do when you're that person, what you can do is you use your platform to better educate your people, to bring in a green infrastructure, and to encourage people to go in the green direction. You use that platform. And I believe he is someone who would do that.
And I will say this, just from an observant perspective, being completely objective about what's happening in politics right now. If Kari Lake wins, and it's likely that she will, and if DeSantis wins the nomination, Ron DeSantis, Kari Lake, if that is the ticket, it's over. And it's done.
And I also predict that it's going to be Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis, East versus West,
that will also
Rocky Balboa.
And that will also be a ratings bonanza as well. Because for corporate media, that's what's most important.
And it is all political theater. And especially, but see, to me, it is worse on the Dem side, only because they really anoint their candidates and do not really have robust primaries. So with the Democrats, it's more theatrical because their super delegates pick who they want. And it isn't even really a real robust primary.
It's always going to get worse before it gets better.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.